to this one-shot set in Iskloft called Glory Hunt. So you four heroes have been wintering in Jarl Skegg Finehair Horenson's hold. It's a nice hold. It's wealthy. It's clear to you that this man has been successful throughout his life. You would know after spending the winter with him that he had raided when he was younger. Then he landed here and conquered several other jarldoms around, and now he is sort of an over jarl over several smaller jarls. And he has wintered you here all winter, which has been long and cold. And over the winter, you've spent a lot of time here feasting and drinking and practicing your skills and whatnot here at his holdfast. And you would find yourself of an evening sitting around, as you do basically every night, drinking and feasting, the same as always. So one of the things you know about Jarl Skegg is that he has a bodyguard. And this bodyguard is a Jotnet, which is a half-giant creature. It's 15 feet tall, humanoid. It's got these two curved horns on its head. And the whole time you've been here, which is months now at this stage, it hasn't spoken to you or around you even once. It just stands at the back of the feast hall every night, watching over, making sure nothing goes wrong. You haven't seen it get involved in anything ever. It's just almost like a statue, this thing, this presence. The other interesting person that lives here would be the wife of the Jarl, fiery, red-haired woman, not from Iskloft. Jarl Skegg in his youth raided the Tawn lands, which are way far away off in the northeast of Iskloft. He sailed a long way, and he has this wife, Waitenkix, and you've always gotten a weird vibe off her, like she might be a witch or something like that. Kind of unearthly in the way that she moves, the way that she speaks, although she's always been polite to you. And currently, there's a couple of men, and they're lining up, and they're playing the braid game, which involves taking a thrall that you're tired of. You braid their long hair, and you tie them to a wooden board, and you put the braids out behind them, and then people take turns throwing axes, trying to cut the braids without killing the thrall, although killing the thrall tends to happen once people drink enough. And one of the men, a man named Hakon, he lifts up the axe and he flips it and grabs it and then throws it into the wood and splits a braid without any issue. And there's a big cheer that goes around the place. What would you guys be up to?
I thrall myself, so I'd be pouring drinks. I'd hover over Magnuson's cup and just give him a blank stare while I proffer the pitcher forward to him. And if he nods, I'll lean down and fill it, careful not to spill any in the ire of any of the festival goers.
Yeah, Gunnar would nod, expecting a drink.
Yeah, and he'd proceed to fill the other pitchers with mead.
Hjalmar is chewing on a pretty undercooked piece of meat, and he kind of gruffly gestures over when he sees the mead being poured and holds his cup up without really saying anything, just kind of grunts it.
Cole will try and pour the meat into the cup, but as you're moving around, kind of distracted or not, I guess not really caring. He's trying to tip it in the cup, but it moves, and so he unfortunately spills some down your hands or on the ground, not intending to, and tries to compensate for filling the pitcher up quickly and retreating, or not retreating is probably not the right word, but moving to the next.
Yeah, and he doesn't even acknowledge the spill. He just brings it to his lips as soon as and he continues watching this axe throwing going on and just chugging.
Yeah, another axe is flung through the air, and it cuts another braid. The thrall is sweating, terrified. 3 of her braids have been cut at this stage. She's only got 4 left. As like increasingly drunken men, seeing the success of the less drunk men, move their way to the front, kind of bullying their way forward. The Jarl holds out his cup, and as you pour it, he says, Magnusson, winter's nearly over. What will you do in the summer? Raid?
Do the same thing I always do. Find someone who needs someone to lead their armies. I just make myself a bunch of money. That's all there is to it.
Do you not long for anything greater than money, land, love? He says, looking at the wife next to him. Children, anything, or just conquest?
Just money's fine for now. Eventually, perhaps we'll find some land to settle, but I'm in no rush to cut my services short.
Yes, I suppose you are young. I was always inclined towards land myself. And he says with this grin, he's got acres and acres and acres and leagues of land. One of the more landed jarls out there.
Yes, you certainly do have a way of acquiring it. How much can be certain. I find staying in one place for too long gets me restless. I prefer to be on the move.
And why put down roots when you can just live on the generosity of jarls like myself, eh? And he like bangs against your cup. Skull! And drinks.
Gunnar returns in kind. Taking a big drink as well and just nodding. Yes, certainly can't deny your generosity.
An axe like spins, and there's like this sickening sort of like wet thunk as it like thumps into the shoulder of the thrall. And she lets out this scream, and it's like this big laughter from a bunch of the people who are like standing about to throw axes.
Cole will drop his pitcher, the clay smashes, and like the frothy mead like kind of oozes out, and the hounds rush to lap at it as he rushes over the threshers towards her. He'll stand with his back to the men in not a subservient fashion and see if he can like pull the axe out and wrap like his overcoat or like jerkin or something, that the least grimy fabric that he has around it. And he can't help himself. He'll shoot a baleful glare at whoever was the caster of that hand axe.
Get out of the fucking way, thrall, says another one who's like hefting an axe.
She's hurt. You've had your fun. Must see to her, or else whoever will pour your mead or see you to your beds. And then he kind of doesn't even look at the woman, just like finishes the knot that he's tying. He will give her no indication he's about to do it because it's a jolt of agony that wraps through, I imagine. He does that with this kind of sense of finality, hoping that he'll be accosted no more. And he'll look down to see if she'll be right to be moved.
Yeah, you can like pull out the axe, and she lets out a whimper. A bunch of the men like begin talking, and you can see like one of them like looks in the direction of the Jarl, who just gives them this like almost imperceptible like shake of the head, and they'll kind of quiet down and go back to their seats.
I suppose I know the woman, maybe even by name. I'll just ask her what her duties were. Ayla. I'll tell her to rest, and I'll try and like pilfer her some scraps from the table as I go. I'll ask what duty she was doing, and I'll make a mental note to take them up to make things go as smooth as possible. Skeg has promised one day that he'll free me from thraldom. So as long as I keep my head down. I've been here some time now, so I'll head back out with that in mind and take to the tasks.
Sure.
And return the axe to the thrower.
Yeah, he like gives you this venomous look, and like takes the axe and like flicks some of the blood onto the ground.
I'll fill his cup. I'll move on.
Yeah, him and a couple of his buddies kind of like watch you as you go, but they don't say anything. The Jarl has given them a signal not to fuck with you for some reason. There's about an hour goes by of like standard festival sort of enjoyment, feasting and drinking and more games. There's some wrestling that goes on, and then the door is like flung open in this like unnatural cold. Like it is winter, but it's almost too cold. Like follows Agnar, who's like a trapper, a hunter. He like runs into the hall, leaves the door open behind him, and like falls to his knees. You're a monster! I saw. And like two of the Huskars like walk over to him and like grab him. Like, what's wrong? What's wrong? This is a monster. I saw a monster on the mountain. He's sort of stood up and brought before the Jarl. And he says, Jarl, I went up the Three Rock like I do, once a month to give sacrifice. And, well, today I climbed a little bit further than I usually do, and I saw gold, Jarl. And he like pulls from inside his overcoat this like golden armoring, incredibly detailed, like almost glowing golden armoring. You would never see, even heroes like you would rarely see gold in Iskloft. And it's like this big, thick, beautifully like carved and wrought golden armoring. Definitely not something that you would pick up. Like this is, you could buy a longship with it. And he like holds it in his hand. I saw it. It was glowing, and as I reached for it, I heard a noise, and a hand, it grabbed mine. The strength, and he like shows his other hand has been like crushed. You can see some of the bones are broken. And the stench, Lord, I've never smelt anything like it. And I saw, and he leads in close and he says, I saw a dead man walk, a Draugr. And there's like this hush goes around the place, and several people like take out knives and like carve symbols into tables.
Hjalmar, when he hears that word mentioned, he actually kind of lets out a very slightly audible scoff.
It's true. It's true. I'm no teller of lies. Jarl, I'm an honest man. I worship the gods, and I go on pilgrimages up the mountain to the old shrines, and I'm not a liar.
Horseshit, says an old man. Look, he got his hand in somebody else's pockets, and they crushed his fingers for it.
Where do you think I would find gold? What lord would walk with gold and not kill me for stealing?
What monster would crush your arm and allow you to escape?
I'm quick. I can run down the stairs quickly. It didn't chase me.
A man who can run from a beast can run from a man.
Maybe that's so, but I know what I saw. There was more gold, Jarl. A lot more. I saw more arm rings and weapons, and I don't know what happened. There's a cave entrance there that was never there before. I've gone there every month for all of my life, and never once have I seen this place.
Gunnar will look over to this man who claims that he's seen these things and just ask, were you able to complete your duties to the gods, or were you chased off before?
I had sacrificed already to Freyr. but I came to the altar of the Old Father, and that's where I saw up the hill the gold, and I went to look. I did not sacrifice to Odin.
Gunnar would frown at that, but the talk of more gold has him intrigued. Well, perhaps then, at the very least, and he'll kind of, if he is not resisted in any way, would kind of pick up that golden armband, kind of showing it in his hands and eyeing it, and lift it up towards the Jarl. Whether or not there's this monster or not, I'm not particularly concerned. But if there's talk of more gold and the sacrifice of Odin not yet complete, then at the very least it seems like this is worth some investigation. Investigation from someone, and he eyes over towards this person who's ran in, who will not flee.
He looks at you and then at the Jarl, and he says, Jarl, you know I'm not a coward. I have stood in the shield wall. I am not a coward, but I will not fight a dead man. Someone returned from hell or from Valhall? What chance would I have? What chance would any of you have?
Ha! That Hjalmar stands up. I don't know where the dead men come from, but I'll send them back.
He looks at you and doesn't say anything because he knows that you're a warrior and he's not really. But you can see that he's not buying it.
Thorsfinn stands up as well and looks at the man and says, if it's true what you say, then the Allfather has been insulted. I will have to find out if you speak truth or not. I will look into this.
The Allfather is not so fickle as to be insulted by me running to save my life in the face of a dead man. I sacrifice to him every month. He knows that I am loyal. He knows that we are loyal. If you're going, it's for gold.
Fine. I'll not deny it. Sight of gold would be a welcome one.
The Jarl, finally, he takes the armor and he looks at it with this appraiser's eye. You can tell that he's seen lots of gold in his time. He says, this craftsmanship is unlike anything I've seen before. Detail is exquisite. Not even in Kincastellan have I seen this sort of work. He puts it down. Lucky, then, that we have heroes staying with us, nay? Who will not be afraid to go up the mountain, who will not be afraid to face the dead man, to get the gold. He says loudly, and a bunch of his warriors begin banging their cups on the table oh.
And Gunnar is nothing but egged on by this. He stands up from his seat as well. Actually draw out his sword and lift it up into the air and say, I will gladly go and slay this monster that your man here has spotted. Perhaps we can organize a share of the gold, and maybe I can purchase some of that land we were talking about earlier.
Interesting proposition. If you come back with enough gold, you can certainly purchase something from me. Even one armoring would be a fair price for a farm. And you know that's a joke, because this armoring would buy you a Jarldom almost. It's so ridiculous. And he smiles, and a bunch of the men are oh! Boom, 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 and a bunch of them start singing these heroic hymns.
And then Gunnar will look around then down the hall, sword still in hand, and just, well then, what brave warriors will face the monster with me? Who of you will come?
Harkon is handy with an axe, you all saw. He should go.
Hakon is mid-drink, and when you say that, he just he looks around if he's checking if he's the Hakon, and then puts the cup down. I'll not I'll not shy away from my duty. Although you can tell he desperately wants to.
As I said, I
So
will
there's
go.
only one of you then. Will any of you
Hjalmar's-
dare?
I know the way to the
glory
old
with me?
shrines, for I've lived here as a thrall for many a year. I'll go along in case anything should happen to our first guide. I'll point to the maimed man, the gold bringer.
My hand is broken. I should go?
I will set it and tend to it.
As you say.
And I'll move over to step
Fine.
alongside Harkin.
Fine.
Hjalmar,
But if you come,
Hjalmar-
you better follow orders better than you did earlier with that other thrall. I'll not have disobedience if a thrall will be joining me.
I'll be joining as well. This man, the way he looked at me, he thinks I fear these dead men. What do I have to fear from dead men when I don't fear the living?
he
Because-
glares at the man with his broken hand.
Yeah, Aganar is uncomfortable with the fact that you're coming with them. Wouldn't be uncommon. Like, lots of people are uncomfortable around the Ulfidnar anyway. But the way that you've spoken to him, you can tell that there's like some resentment there.
And Hjalmar just smiles at the man with a fairly unsettling, broken-toothed grin under sort of canine eyes.
There's like this enormous, thunderous step. And Thrall, who you haven't seen move basically since you've gotten here, steps like next to the Jarl, and he like incredibly like whispers into his ear, and you can't hear what he's saying, which is nuts because every movement he makes seems to make the wind blow. And the Jarl nods. Thrall will be joining you to ensure whatever is up there does not make it back down the mountain.
Hjalmar leans in close to whoever is nearest and says, "So the statue speaks," as quietly as he can.
And
Who will guard your
Gunnar will
body?
follow you. Go ahead.
Oh, I just asked who would guard your body if Thrall would join us. And would the All-Father take it kindly that a half-giant profane his sacred area? Forget not, they are enemies.
Well, I have a hall filled with brave warriors to protect me. Although you might be right about the All-Father. What do you think about it, Thrall? And Thrall just like shrugs his shoulders. You would prefer he didn't come, Thrall?
If we're going to a fight, then he's better than any man here. But it may not come to that. It may be a time for words or for thinking. And he'll try and maintain his gaze on the Jarl, though he can feel the Jotun.
Yeah, his like beady eyes are like looking right at you. He like exhales through his nose, like as if he's laughing, almost like a, except that it comes out like a.
Gunnar is visibly upset or unhappy with the prospect of this Jotun coming with us. His people are not particularly generally, but he will not speak out any discontent, though he wears it very plainly in his face and on his body.
Any one of you could make an insight check if you like.
$16.
105. 16. Okay, yeah. So all three of you then would sense like pretty clearly that the Jarl is sending Thrall along to make sure that you don't just fuck off with lots of treasure. That's his like main purpose, is to ensure that if there is lots of treasure up there, that he gets the lion's share of it.
As Thorfinn figures that out, it's more because this sort of thing has happened before. He's never exactly been the brightest, but he's been around the block more than his share. And he kind of slowly dawns on him, and he just starts to size this new companion a little bit more suspiciously. I don't know about this here. Why exactly would we need to take one of these there? And he points to his eye, which is missing, has this massive scar that runs from his hairline down to his jaw, where they've removed one of his eyes, and says, "I worship the All-Father. I don't think I can travel in such company."
And Hjalmar, who did not realize this at all about the gold and has no allegiance to your gods in particular, looks visibly perturbed. Why would you worry so much about your shrine when you have a 15-foot tall man who is willing to come with you and fight by your side? I would be honored to fight in battle alongside this man. Look at him. He would swing an axe and cut a man in half.
Thrall leans back down to the Jarl and whispers in his ear again. And the Jarl says, "Thrall assures me that he will bring no harm to you unless you bring harm to him."
I will take the Jarl's word on it, but let my voice be heard. This is not a preferred situation for me.
"Life is hard sometimes, Thorfinn," says the Jarl.
Fortunately, it doesn't last too long.
"Skull." He drinks.
You've been nothing but a gracious host to us, despite my discomfort with your choice of companion for us. I will defer to your generosity and accept such things as they are.
Good. Good. Well then, you seem to have a band together. I would suggest that you wait till morning. Until then, I suppose we could have a drink, say goodbye.
Cole looks uncomfortable at this and leans into Magnus, and we should leave now. Hunter doesn't wait for the sun to rise. The longer we wait, the worse Agnar will become. I fear no enemy in the dark if we are forced to travel with the Jotun. But he knows that he cannot like lead the people, like any of these heroes, or like make any sway about it. So he's just trying to like push his agenda with the one who can. Classic Thrall. And he'll just kind of wait around to be ordered what to do.
And Gunnar is kind of egged on by this suggestion, and will proudly be the one who gives the orders. And he just shouts out, "Night. There's gold and monsters about. Every day is one more. Every day gone is another, where things may disappear, people may disappear. Whatever this man saw tonight, we will find out tonight."
The Jarl like sits back and he puts his hands wide. Such heroes! Didn't realize I was in Valhalla. Go then on your adventure, and I wish you the blessings of the Allfather on your quest. And he like drinks again, and Throb begins to make his way towards the door.
Yeah, I'll try and usher Harkon and Agner with like the general momentum of the heroes leaving, and then fall in myself.
Gunnar will take his cup, finish it off, and then slam it down onto the table and follow out.
Agnar is like grabbing bits of food and stuff. He hasn't eaten since he's gotten here, so he grabs a bunch of food and like puts it into a bag, and he's like biting bread rolls and stuff as he follows you.
And Hjalmar actually tries to grab a couple pieces of meat on his way out. And as soon as he's outside, he whistles for his wolf Ham and tosses him a piece of the meat.
Thorsvin
Oh, hello?
I think we might have lost him.
Oh, okay. I was hoping it wasn't me.
Hey.
Yeah, okay. So, oh, here we go. Yeah, where are you back?
I just dropped out mid-sentence.
Yeah.
I think I was just saying that I put the horn back on in its loop, and I exit the hall and go outside into the night, and there would be a large raven out there who would fall to my shoulder shortly after. He's for me, he's a bit of a religious companion. He represents the Allfather.
So you make your way out into the village itself, and then it's not long before you're out past the pretty significant like palisades and stuff and walls of Jarl Skeg's halls, and then out into the woods. Agnar will tell you that's about an hour from here to the base of the mountain, and it's basically thick woodlands the whole way. He like leads you pretty confidently through. You have this strange feeling already that something's kind of off. You get the feeling that animals are watching you as opposed to looking at you. You kind of see like eyes reflected in the darkness every so often. There's something uncomfortable about this place. Hakon walked close to Thra, feeling that he might be safe there. As the rest of you kind of like walk towards this mountain, the base of this mountain.
If I can find a moment away from Agnar's hearing, and preferably any others, but I want to speak to Gunnar and say, like, just like while we're trudging along through the dark, like by torchlight or the like, I'm worried that the old father is angered that he sees this one, and he points as like Agnar like moves along clutching his hand, stolen from him. What good can come of gold that appears out of nothing on the mountain? It seems the work of the Tangol or dwarves, and have been disturbed. They may want the thief. That's why I asked the Jarl to bring Agnar along. In the north where I'm from, such things are not so easily scoffed at when spoken of. And at that, you can see the Ulf prowling along, sniffing the air, looking for the source of this trouble. You saw the ring. It's not made by any hand of man.
I'm no happier with the slights against the Allfather than you are. It's a disgrace. You should tread carefully and right any wrongs that have been done.
At that, he turns to look grimly at Agnar, moping along, clutching his ruined hand. He licks his lips and keeps trudging on.
I think that your impression of Agnar, like from having lived here, is that he's just like a fairly hardworking, like pious man. Mostly, you know, he like keeps to himself, lives in the village, but like spends a lot of time in the woods. Although maybe he has stolen, you know. But he's trying not to complain. He's got like a broken hand and he's like exhausted. He had to like basically in the last day climb up and back down the mountain. But he's doing his best, I think is the impression that you would get.
Yeah, I don't think necessarily Agnar is a thief, but I think that he could be perceived as such by malign forces of the old gods.
Yeah.
Whether he's actually intended to thieve or not, or maybe being overly superstitious.
So he leads you through these woods for the best part of an hour until you come to like this base of a staircase. There's 2 shrines down here, one to Freya, one to Frigg, both of which have like sacrifices, recent ones on them, obviously from Agnar. And you can see that there's a stair. You would know this, Colin. Maybe the rest of you might have visited so far. There's a stairway carved into this mountain going all the way up. It was once a Jotun stair carved by the giants, although those stairs are not walkable by humans. And so in the intervening eons, humans have carved smaller steps into the Jotun steps. You probably haven't made it up so far to the first summit, or the first, I don't know, base camp or whatever you call it. Agnar tells you it'll be about 6 hours of climbing before you get there.
This would have been much easier in my younger days. Thorsfinn kind of puts out there to no one in particular. My legs are burning. Jeez, stairs couldn't be less convenient.
I'll try and loop an arm in underneath Agnar and support him to clamber up. Agreeing, but I'll be mute on the subject.
Quit your yapping. If you're going to complain, then maybe you should just crawl under the grave that's been waiting for you for years anyways.
In this line of business, son, it waits for all of us. I've seen men half my age meet it sooner than I. Don't get too cocky now.
So the climb is pretty miserable. It's cold, it's nighttime, and the further you climb, the colder it gets. After about 3 hours of walking upstairs non-stop, your thighs are burning, your calves are burning, your knees are aching. Although there's the constant of the Jotun who doesn't seem to mind at all. And Agnar seems to be fine, amazingly. He's obviously used to making this kind of trip. But for the rest of you, it's pretty agonizing, particularly wearing armor. I need each of you to make a constitution save, please.
Well, I have +4
So,
Constitution.
as a
and I got
quick
5.
side note, everybody will actually have advantage on this due to one of my presences here, which is get up. All allies within 30 feet have advantage on con and whiz saving throws.
Excellent.
Nice. I rolled at disadvantage, Lloyd, because I'm supporting Agnar.
Okay.
I feel kind of bad. So I just like took the high result was the one that went first anyway. So to cancel out from Jeff, so mine remains 21.
Okay.
A 15 for me.
Okay. So you're all okay. Although there is soreness, you're still managing. Although you're looking at another 3-hour climb before you hit to the next, to the first stop. Agnar tells you that there's a plateau up there, where the first shrines are. These are not the shrines that he was at today. These are the first ones. So there's another climb after that. You continue up the endless staircase for another 3 hours. Hakon is now crawling on his hands and knees, his legs in agony. He asks to stop several times, although the pace is pretty relentless as you continue your way upwards. And after 6 hours in total, you come to this sort of meadow, this like plateau. It's like perfectly flat, sort of outcropping. There's frozen grass here, and there's a big statue of Thor. Again, you can see that there have been sacrifices made here. But the far end of this, there's like this big nest, maybe 20 feet across, enormous nest, like a bird's nest, and an egg within the size of your torso. And looking out over the edge, you think you're about 8,000 feet up.
Cole is terrified and fails to try and hide it. He's like feels paralyzed or rooted to the spot. He'll turn to see what the Jotun makes of this.
Yeah, he like walks to the edge and like looks down and like looks around. He sees like the egg and like you can see his eyebrow like raise, unsure of what that means. Nonetheless, he like hefts the big sword on his shoulder.
This was not here before, Agnar.
The egg? No, the nest was.
I shouldn't think we want to be here when its mother returns.
I've seen the nest many times, but I've never seen the eagles, if that's what it is, that nest's here.
You spoke of a cave earlier with gold. Is the cave near here? Where did you see it?
We'll have to climb, again, a staircase longer than the one we just climbed.
Unbelievable.
That's where the shrine to Odin is and to Frey.
It would be foolish not to allow some of our weaker and more elderly to rest. But we may have to contend with that eagle if it returns. They're noble creatures, and I'd rather not kill one if we could help it.
I'd rather not tussle with an eagle on my account. Don't get all sappy, boy. I might be getting older and I might complain, but I can keep going.
Yeah, there is none weak here. We should all push on.
Hjalmar just looks kind of pointedly at the man who's been almost crawling for the last few hours.
Yeah, you can see his like face become hopeful when you talk of rest, and then when it's pushed away, you can see him kind of like throw his head back like, oh no.
Then this one's just slowing us down.
Gunnar
I'll
will
help
walk
him.
past this man, look up towards the giants. Maybe you should ask the giant to carry you if you're tired.
The giant lets out like as if he's laughing.
You are the leader of this warband, Gunnar. If you command it, we are obliged to carry it out.
I say we keep going.
Very well. We shall arrive tired and weak. Onward. And he gestures to his wolf to continue. And he actually sends the wolf out a little bit ahead of them.
The Jotun breaks into a jog towards the stairs. Agnar and Hakon kind of like pull up the back, particularly Hakon seems unhappy with the situation, but you begin to climb another staircase. Again, hours go by. Agnar will
Is it
tell you.
daylight at this stage?
Yeah, just about dawn is breaking. As you continue this climb for another 3 hours, another check, please. Constitution save.
12 for myself, still carrying Agnar.
Jeff, do we still have advantage from Gunnar?
As long as you're within 30 feet of me and I'm not dead, yes.
Okay, so Thorstein and Cole, you'll both have a level of exhaustion, as does Agnar and as does Hakon. From this like relentless climb, you continue going upwards, and it gets colder and colder. You can see, ice in the other people's beards. You can feel like the sword in its scabbard like stop rattling as you move, and it's obviously frozen in place. A great coldness as you continue climbing upwards. Very clear air, although the air you can feel is getting thinner. You're taking deeper breaths and getting less satisfaction from them as you climb for another 4 hours. So 7 hours total on top of the 6 from previously. Eventually it's daytime. It's probably close to like mid-morning by the time that you see the end of the staircase. You like turn a corner and you can see the end of this staircase finally. And at the top, it suddenly just stops and becomes a plateau like the one you had been at previously, although at the top of this, pacing back and forth at the lip of this stairs is a dead man. Unmistakably dead. The skin is like rotted and pale, but he wears armor, fine chain, and has a sword in his hand and a shield, and a helmet with wings. He just paces to one end and then turns and walks back across. It is unmistakably a dead person, and Agnar lets out like a when he sees it.
Do you know this person?
That's the thing that grabbed me. He broke my hand.
Unbelievable, you spoke true.
I'm no liar.
Seeing this thing, Gunnar will spit onto the staircase and draw a symbol over his chest. His face kind of goes into a scowl. He didn't actually expect something like this to be here.
Yeah, Hjalmar turns to the hunter and kind of a mumbled voice. My apologies for doubting your honesty and honor, sir.
Thorstein turns around with a smile and says, on the upside, that means the gold's probably real too.
Gunnar will smirk at that.
The Jotun that's standing behind you just like points at it for a second, and then like his hand comes back down and he shrugs.
Well, it would have been a shame if we walked all this way for nothing anyways, so I suppose I can't be too upset.
Let's kill this thing. It's some sort of abomination.
Like looking behind you, you can see like this like steep staircase that goes down thousands of feet. And you can see like further than you've ever seen before in your life. You can see like this big sort of beautiful panorama vista of Iskloft beneath you. All the way to the coast you can see. It's a clear day.
Gunnar's hand reaches for his the hilt of his sword,
Cole will kneel down
resting
and
it
pick up the
uneasily
rope.
on the hilt.
Thorstein grabs his sword, his two-handed sword from behind his back, pulls it, has to pull a few times to get it to unstick from the ice, and it scrapes out of its scabbard.
Hjalmar pulls his shield from his back, straps it to his arm, and starts kind of pounding on it softly with his fist, not drawing any weapon.
Gunnar will arm himself with his shield as well. Over towards everybody, kind of like as if waiting for them to be ready. Just says, "On my mark, then."
Cole nods.
I give the word.
And Gunnar will look up to the Jotun and back to the other two that had followed them up there. Do the other two? They probably look like they're in pretty rough shape, but are they at least attempting to fight?
Yep. Like Agnar has like a knife. He's not like a soldier like you, but he's like got it in his hand. The Jotun looks
so
amused at the
Gunnar's-
situation, like looking at you all getting ready, and he's got this like smirk on his face.
So basically, what I'd like to do then is get as close as I can, kind of get everybody to this thing, and like as soon as it makes any effort of noticing us, if we can't make it all the way up to it, I just want to issue a charge.
Okay. So we're just going to take a really quick break before we do that because I really need to pee. We'll be back in 2 seconds. Yeah. If you guys want to take a break as well.
Should we put all of our initiative in the chat or something, my lord?
Yeah, that'd be handy.
For when the
Sounds good.
time comes. Yeah, I'll be back too, fellas. Then we can murder this Jotun and Hakon. I mean, this enemy.
All right, dudes, I'm back.
I am technically here as well.
Technically.
So I'm not sure exactly how this is playing out mechanically as far as initiating the combat, but if it's possible, I would like to start it off with, like, kind of if we're getting some sort of jump on this thing with one of my battle cries.
Yep. So you guys would like plan to. I didn't put any of the other dudes in the initiative. One sec. Oh, man. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah, so basically you had like decided you were going to move up and give the command. The thing doesn't move or even notice you until like you like shout and everyone starts running. So you can definitely like give a command and do a battle cry, and then we'll go into initiative.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we kind of get up towards this thing and we're within distance to go into action, Tanner will bring back his sword, and as he points it forwards, he just fight with the power of the All-Father. The gods will not tolerate this monstrosity. And kind of hailing his sword forward, and I'm using my ability. It's one of my command presences. 10 rounds, so 1 minute. Everybody will get +2 to every damage roll.
Sick. So you like scream and roar that battle cry. And the thing, like, it's just been pacing, and even as you like move close, it's been pacing or whatever, and then you start shouting, and it turns and goes and begins to like rush forward with alarming speed. As it does so, it like locks eyes with excuse me, with you, Kalmar. I'm going to need you to make a wisdom saving throw, please.
You will
I
hedge
think
on
you
that
can,
as well
yeah.
if you're within 30 feet of me.
Yeah.
Uh, 16.
Okay. So you are frightened. It like looks at you, and you can see that this thing was dead and somehow is not anymore, and that like fact is pretty horrifying to you. It's particularly like undead or way scarier in a Viking world where like the afterlife is the big thing. Returning from the dead is like awful. You don't want to do it, and so there's like this big like primal fear that wells up inside, and you are frightened, which means you have disadvantage attacks against this thing. And I think cannot move willfully towards it. But fortunately, it's moving towards you amazingly quickly, and it moves forward and slashes at you with its sword. The first one definitely misses. The second, though, is a 21 to hit, which I think might hit. And the third is a 19. Did those hit?
The second two both hit.
Okie dokie. So, so 12 for the first and 14 for the second strike. So flashes into you with the sword and like screams in your face. And then at the end of its turn, Thorstein, you're next.
So Thorstein will just let out this blood-curdling scream and just run and slash with this huge, like, I'm thinking of it like a Braveheart-style sword, extra long, and just gives two big swings at this Joseph. Let's see. First one is going to be 13, and the second one's going to be a 24.
Okay, so 24 definitely hits. What was the one before that?
13.
13 misses.
And we're adding the +2 to damage, so that's going to be 11 damage.
Okay,
Slashing.
nice. As you slash into it, there's like this spray of this, actually more of a flow, like a disgusting, viscous ichor, like comes out of this creature, and the stench is just unbelievable. I'm going to need you to make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Okay, and I make that with disadvantage because of my exhaustion, but I'm still within range of Jeff, so I'll make that with
So just
a
normal.
regular check. And that's going to be 24.
Okay, you make it. You like manage to avoid retching and puking up whatever meager food you had eaten. But the stench is pretty terrible. Agnar stands in the line and he's like shaking. He's going to try and make a save to act, which he fails. He just stands there shaking, looking at the thing. Gunnar, it's your turn.
Gunnar looks around, seeing some of his teammates petrified, others trying to hold themselves together from exhaustion and from this disgusting stench. He charges forward. But as he does so, he does not bring up his sword to strike, instead bringing up his shield to meet his companions alongside this thing. He just yells, "Liven up! Now's not the time to fall to your exhaustion or your fears." And I am going to use my get up ability, strap on a pair. Basically, a number of allies up to my charisma modifier, which will be my 3 companions and Agnar, can either roll a hit dice and gain HP or spend a hit dice to remove any condition affecting them.
Nice. Okay, so Agnar will remove his exhaustion. Actually, he'll remove his fear.
Yeah, I'll remove my exhaustion.
How long does fear last?
Oh, yeah, you can make the save at the end of your turn.
Oh, okay. Then I'll use the hit die.
Okay, sick.
And that is going to be his action. So he's basically just going to move up alongside to get within range of this thing, to be alongside his teammates, but that'll be his turn.
All right. Thrall takes one step forward and is going to swing his hammer, or his sword. Yep, so 2 big slashes. Both connect. And there's this like awful spray of this like terrible blood, ichor, goo, disgustingness that like sprays up onto him and up onto Gunnar, Hjalmar, who are standing next to this thing. He does a shitload of damage, but I'm going to need both Gunnar and Hjalmar to make a con save. Oh, and Thorsvin, as you're next to him as well. Okay, so Thorsvin, this like spray of this disgusting blood liquid like splats onto your face, and like the stench is so powerful that you like begin retching and throwing up. You'll have disadvantage on your next round of attacks.
Okay. You said disadvantage, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, so that's that. That was Thrall. Hjalmar, your turn. Hjalmar?
Oh, I'm sorry. I misheard you for some
It's all
reason. I'm
good.
an idiot. All right. So Frightened means I can't move towards it, but it's still engaged with me, right?
Yep.
So I can attack it.
Yep, but you have disadvantage on attacks against it
Okay.
while you're frightened.
So, kind of, trying to like steel himself against taking a step back against this thing, Hjalmar slams his fist on his shield and screams as he enters his rage. And then he's going to attack twice, and he's going to attack recklessly for the first one.
Excellent.
Although, does that work with Dex since he is unarmed using Dex? Or is that only with Strength? Okay.
Yep, it's all the things that you can do as a barbarian you can do with Dex is modified now.
Awesome. So that's a 15 on that first one then.
Okay, that one misses.
And, and then less than that. Oh, wait, no, not a 15. I'm sorry, not a 15. The first one was an 18.
Okay, that just hits.
Math. Oh, awesome. So that was the first hit. Or the first. I just did my math wrong. Stop rolling. Jeez. Stupid roller. Okay, that's 2, 6. And then I think I get barbarian points of 7 plus the 2 that you gave. So that does 13 points of damage overall.
Okay, 13 overall.
So just like trying to like grab at him and like knee him and trying to like kick his legs and trying to like crunch his knees.
Okay, nice. It's like just bones and chainmail is what you're trying to fight, and like you can like tear up bits of skin occasionally or like slash in, but there's this like awful stench every time you hit it, and the stench is like getting worse and worse and worse. I need you to make another con save, please.
Yeah, and I'm definitely avoiding my normal bite attack.
Yeah.
Con save. Oh, I get proficiency to that. I didn't even realize that. 17.
Okay, just about enough. You're like, but you're managing to keep your dinner down. Cole, your turn.
I'm going to rush up. I'll still keep the stone in one hand. With my other hand, I'm going to grab Agnar by the back and pull him away.
Okay.
Drag him safely out of the aura of the stench. Do I have to roll to not be frightened to get near enough to grab him out of the fray?
No, if you go to attack the Drogo, you have to roll to not be frightened.
Oh, okay, no, I don't even have a weapon, so I'll just like drag Agnar out. He's got a maimed hand, but he's got a dagger, right? So once I've got him out of the aura or like well enough away, I'll grab like the knife from him and say, "Wait here," and then I'll turn, intending to go and engage it next time.
Okay, no problem. Hakon is going to rush up against his better judgment. He's going to try and swing his axe at the thing. But he misses his first strike. And he misses his second strike. So he rushes up and he's like, ah, ah! And he just like swings clumsily, but misses both times. And he like looks confused when he like hasn't connected, and like looks at the rad warlords on either side of him and feels somewhat embarrassed.
Actually, Gunnar will, as a reaction, like smack him with his shield, which will deal 4 damage. And he yells, "Now's not the time for failure. Hit it!" And I'm going to use "Don't Fail Me" as a reaction. If somebody within 5 feet misses an attack roll, they retry.
Sick. He gets it that time, so he manages to connect with the axe. Doing 6. Flashes it with the axe, and then he fails a con save and throws up on your shoes, Gunnar. So he like, and there's like this splat of blood, and he goes and just like pukes all over your expensive warlord shoes. In the face of this hideous creature, the dead man goes next. He reaches out with this like his hand and like grabs Hakon by the chest and like is going to try and lift him up, which he easily manages unless Hakon rolls spectacularly. No, not at all. So he picks up Hakon and then he just fucks him, like throws him, and Hakon goes barreling down the staircase You can hear like as he begins falling down the staircase. The thing then uses its sword to strike at you again, Hjalmar. Oh, that's a critical hit. That's bad. It's real bad in this world. So it's going to be 15 damage and... Oh boy. So we have these brutality charts that we use in this game for critical hits, and this might get ugly. Need you to roll me a d6 and a d6, please.
All right, that's a 5 and a 6.
Okay. Okay, slashing.
Why couldn't he use piercing damage?
This is real bad. Okay, so the weapon like chops into your thigh lengthwise, and it causes this huge gaping wound and lodges into your thigh bone. You fall to the ground. He can't pull a sword out of you without taking a bonus action. You suffer disadvantage on all actions until the sword is out of your leg, and then you have to make a DC 15 con saving throw to be able to stand up. There's more, but I'll put it into the chat. Basically, he like stabs his sword like right into your thigh bone, and you can like feel the agony as you like fall down to the ground. It like lets go of the sword and it's stuck in your thigh, and it'll take some wiggling to get it out. So that's its turn.
And Hjalmar is just letting out this guttural, like he's not even trying to be brave or strong. He's just in the middle of this like battle, so he's kind of giving himself over to that battle lust, and so he's just kind of screaming gutturally.
Yep, pretty rough. So yeah, Thorstein, you see Hjalmar get stabbed in the leg and he like falls to the ground. It's your turn.
Yeah, so I had gotten splattered, and I'm just trying to cough it, hold it back, and it just start to shake with anger, and I go in to my Odinic rage, and I turn back around, and I can see in my blurry vision the sword burying into his thigh, and I'm going to attack recklessly. So between the two of them, I will actually have advantage on this. But I will also be giving advantage on the next attack. Okay, so that's going to be a 15. A 25 on the first one. And a 20 on the second one.
Can you tell me the first one again?
25.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so 2 hits.
That's 13 on the first one, and 14 on the second one. So yeah, so he just sees that, and he drags his one arm quickly across his face to kind of smear that disgusting, foul-smelling liquid, and then just raises his sword up and, "In the name of Odin!" and swings once and then across horizontally.
Nice. Yeah, 2 big strikes as you like hack into this creature. I'm going to need you to make another con save with the vomit.
Okay. Con, that's 23.
Okay, you're good. The rage is on you, the battle rage, and you begin slashing and hacking at this thing. And even the spray of the blood doesn't affect you as this stench fills your nostrils. Okay, Agnar is standing at the back, and he's like shaking. He's looking at you, Cole. He's not sure what he's supposed to do. He's like filled with adrenaline, but he doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing. So he looks at you confused. He like offers you the dagger, like, take it.
I'll take it from his good hand.
Yep.
Wait, if someone falls, drag them out of the spear den.
Yes. Okay, so that's Agnar. Gunnar, you're next.
Gunnar looks up to this Jotnet, this giant that's fighting with them, and he will just look up to him and just yell and point. Just, go for its sword arm! Take out its weapon! And I'm gonna use called shot here. So if if Thra hits on any of his attacks before my next turn, he will add a plus 12 damage to the hit.
Shit.
Wisdom mod, charisma mod plus level.
Fuck me dead.
And then
You
as a
made
bonus
that.
action. And then as a bonus action, Gunnar will begin slamming his shield and chanting one of the songs of his people, and sing his this ancient battle hymn of the Gunnar bloodline. I'm going to use my culture of virtue. So all of my teammates can immediately gain a d6 plus my charisma modifier, which is +4. And then if this creature is susceptible to being frightened of me, which I highly doubt, it would need to
Yeah.
make a save. Yeah, but
It's
there's
like-
no way.
Mindless.
And then that'll be my turn as I hope now Thra will come through for me.
Let's see. It seems unlikely that he won't hit. Oh yeah. Yep. So he definitely hits. It's plus 12 damage.
Yep, 8 from my level, 4 from my charisma.
Look. Okay. So. Okay. And. Okay. So the thing is like barely hanging on. He like smashes the sword arm of the thing off. It just like falls onto the ground, clatters. There's no sword in it anymore. It's stuck in Hjalmar's leg. But the arm like clatters to the ground, and like the fingers are like still moving. And like looks up at Thra and like does this like ah, and he just like has no interest. Seems bored by the whole thing. Okay, Hjalmar.
This thing is still up, so that's his primary concern despite this insane pain. And he whistles to the wolf to make an attack
Sure.
on this thing. And if he's close enough, he'll try to also just grab at it with an attack of his own as the wolf attacks.
Yep. Okay. No problem. You'll have disadvantage though. Yeah.
Disadvantage for me, so I'll roll that one first. Oof, yeah, that's going to be a 9.
Yeah.
And then for the wolf, oh, he's going to miss as well.
Yeah. So the wolf like leaps onto his back, but he like bites into the chain and doesn't get through. Okay. Cole.
I'm going to rush down the stairs to Harkon.
Oh, he's still going.
Oh, is he back in the fray? I thought he got thrown down the stairs.
Oh, he's still going down the stairs.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
He like hasn't stopped. It looks like his momentum is such that he's not going to stop.
Sorry, I totally misread that. Did he drop his weapon by any chance, or is he going to Valhalla?
That's a good question. We can roll a percentile and find out.
Okay. What?
Yeah.
I'll roll a percentile. You pick the magic number.
Let's say 33 or below. He has the weapon.
Yeah. So I look about. I can't find it. Either it's been flung down the mountainside, or hopefully for him, still in his hand. So with this rock in hand, I'm gonna like use my. Screw that! I'm gonna run over to Hjalmar and grab the sword for a bonus action and try and pull it out.
Yep.
I fail, so I'm going to use my action to keep trying.
Well, you can pull it out as a bonus action. You don't need to do anything. You can just pull it out.
Oh, I thought it was a DC 15 strength.
That's for him afterwards to like stand up.
Oh, okay, sweet. Well, Rick, I'll use my bonus to pull it out, and I'll cut down twice into the side of the head of this thing.
Nice.
Hjalmar does not see you coming at all since he's looking at the thing, and he just screams in agony when you rip this thing out of him.
Yeah, so I pull the blade out. Probably best that you're not looking and weren't prepared for it. It might have hurt more. So he'll pull it out and try and smash into this Draugr. But he's terrified, and there's like vomit welling up. So he misses, I would say, for a 14 and a 12 to hit with the mortuary sword.
Both miss.
Okay. So it doesn't take my interaction to have this sword, just my bonus. So I'm going to use my interaction to like hold the sword in one hand, but bring my shirt up over my face, like haul it up so it's around my nose and mouth
to avoid the stench.
Yeah, it might be like hinder my hearing or like eyesight or whatever. So I'll give myself disadvantage on attacks if that's all right with you, to be spared the nasal onslaught, and that's it for me.
Okay, nice, no worries. Okay, that was cool. Hakon is gone down the mountainside for a very unpleasant death. The dead man still somehow standing. He has one arm. He's going to just like reach out with his good arm. He's going to grab 1, 2. That's Gunnar. He's going to grab Gunnar and try and throw you down the mountainside. I need an athletics check from you, please.
It's an 8 on the die, which will still get me up to a 16.
Okay, that's lucky. He gets a 15. So like,
thank the Allfather.
He like grabs the front of your mail, whatever, and begins to like pull at you or whatever. It's this impossible strength, but you like manage to like get your sword, like the pommel, and just like smash his fist repeatedly until he like lets go, and he like falls back from you. He doesn't have anything else that he can do. He's going to try and bite down at Hjalmar since he's on the ground, and he's just fallen to the ground. And he will connect. So this like hideous ancient maw just like bites down onto your painful leg. He's going to see if he can do any damage with it. Oh Jesus, that dice is going forever. Okay, yeah. So you'll take 4 biting damage as he like bites into your leg.
That sounded like so many more dice rolling than I thought would end up with 4 damage. I was waiting like he does 32 points of damage.
One of them fell off the table and vanished for eternity. Okay, yeah, so he like bites down into your leg. There's like this nasty tooth mark as he like pulls away. Thorsvin.
Yeah, so he just Thorsvin sees him kind of looking in pretty rough shape and reaching at his companion, and he thinks, he just kind of raises his sword, and with everything he has, does he have kind of like a good angle on him?
Yeah, you could. He's like right beneath you. You could just like stab down with the sword.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay, so yeah, so he's going to just bring his huge sword down on this guy. So that's going to be a 21.
Okay, that's definite hit. You have advantage because he's prone as well.
Yes. Okay. So it's going to be 4. We still have that +2, correct?
Yep, and reroll 1s.
Right. I got 2 6s. So that's going to be 16. I'm still in my Odinic rage. So that's going to be 21 damage.
Yeah, that does it. Tell me how you finish it.
Yeah, so I feel like he's just stretched himself out, reaching for Hjalmar, and I just kind of bring it down, kind of like below his shoulders. But if it's powerful enough, I might almost rip him right in half.
Yep, you can just like invert and like right through the chest, and it's not even light, but like the stench subsides, and the sort of horrid rattling that had accompanied this creature just vanishes, and there's a silence on the mountainside apart from like the grunting of Hjalmar in agony. The wolf comes over to you, Hjalmar, and he's like licking your face, like trying to help, although it's not so helpful.
Away! And he's just holding on tightly to his gashed leg and he's going to try to kind of like put pressure on it and stand himself up.
Okay, I'll need a Constitution save from you.
Okay. Come on, and do I still? I have advantage on this, right? From being near what's his face?
Yep.
Gunner. I'm terrible with names. Okay, don't fail me now. Come on. Oh, that is a 20 on the die.
No problem. So you're able to stand, although it is agonizing. Your move speed is 5 foot, and you have -2 to armor class due to your pain and poor balance. So it's much harder for you to dodge, and this will remain until you are fully healed.
It's gonna be a fun trek back down the mountain for me.
Oh God, imagine.
I've never seen anything like that. I've been working in this line of blood sports since I was, well, younger than you lot, and I've never seen anything like it. It smells something fierce too.
Thrall just spits onto the dead body, and like he like takes the huge blade, which is like taller than any of you, and just like cleans it in the frozen grass.
Can I inspect this corpse's sword? Is it of
Sure.
like the similar fine wrought of the gold rings borne by Agnar? Or is it like something that you'd find from one of perhaps Skeggy's long dead warriors, like buried with his gear in a barrow?
No, it looks like a sword that you would bury someone with, like the finest quality that you could, afford. It's like really good quality. It's a long sword, and it's got like gold along the hilt, and the pommel is like inlaid with gold, and it's got this beautiful sort of like double spiral design at the base. Old in design as well. You don't really see many swords like this. It's kind of fatter than the swords you would see nowadays, and kind of a little bit shorter, but even so, definitely valuable, and amazingly like not rusted or rotted or anything like that. It looks like it's in perfect nick.
He'll look from the blade after a time to Hjalmar, and once he sees him rise up, says we should push on.
Indeed. I'll be a little slower, but I'm behind you.
He starts limping very slowly onwards.
So Agnar leads you up onto the plateau. You're twice as high as you were previously. You're at about 17,000 feet above the ground level. You can see infinitely in all directions, almost like you, all the way to the horizon. It's insane. The cold is pretty intense, and the air is not great. You're taking these big like breaths to try and like compensate. There's a huge statue of Odin up here, and a huge statue of Freyr with his incredible sword. The two of them like standing on either side of what you can see now as a cave mouth, but you can see that it's recent or like recently uncovered. There has been like a rock slide at some stage recently, and it's like uncovered this cave mouth. Agnar like looks confused, and he said it wasn't like this when I came. The rocks have been like cleared aside, and there's like a clear path in or out of that cave mouth now. There's a sacrifice at the altar of Freyr, but none at the altar of Odin.
What did you intended to promise to the Allfather, Agnar?
Mead and blood.
There's plenty
We
of
should
blood.
see him on.
I'll go. He like limps over to the altar and like takes this like skin of mead and like uncorks it and says a few quiet words to the Allfather and pours it. And then he like he looks for his dagger. He doesn't have it, and he calls back to you. I need the dagger.
I'll stand over next to him and give him his dagger back.
Yeah, without any sort of like big ceremony, he just like cuts his hand and like smears blood on the sword or the spear that Odin has, and says, "Thank you, Allfather." and then like wraps his hand in a bit of ripped cloth.
Gunnar at this stage will look over to Hjalmar and to everybody, but specifically towards Hjalmar. Are you sure you're in shape to go on? We can take a moment to rest if you need.
Moment of rest isn't going to change anything for me. If I'm going, I'm going. Might as well do it now.
So the cave mouth, you can see like glinting out of it, this like, you know, in Pulp Fiction when he opens the briefcase and there's like this golden glow, like you can see that basically as the sun kind of like shines a little bit into the cave, just like this glow of gold.
You should put the ring back where you found it, Agnar.
I found it at the entrance to the cave in the rocks. There had been a rock slide, but now it's not the same. I don't know where to put it.
Of course,
Yeah,
the gold is. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Thorfinn was just going to complain that, of course, there's never. It's not the undead that's missing. It's the gold. It's always the gold that's missing.
Thrall, who's like standing and watching, and he's like looking directly at the altar of Odin with this like look of contempt. He like looks at the entrance to the cave and sees the glint of gold, and he just points.
Thorfinn would follow the line of his finger and walk over in that direction.
Gunnar will begin heading towards the cave as well. Intrigued.
So you can see in the entrance that like it's not like a natural cave. It's obviously been fashioned. And like the very entrance is kind of like tight, but once you get in, it opens up into like a 20-foot square, although it's circular, and you don't see any tool marks, but it's definitely been worked by something. It's like smooth and like held up by like wooden arches, which seem to still be here. But like inlaid on the walls, there's like runes. There are like designs, just like arts design, nothing like too meaningful, but lots of like swirls and patterns and stuff. But they're all like inlaid with gold. It gets dark pretty quickly. You can see maybe 15, 20 feet into the cave, but then it gets dark. There's no torches.
I'm going to call out as loud as I can into the abyss. Oh, there, woken monster, come and reckon with us.
You can hear your voice echoing. Excuse me.
We've sacrificed to Odin, and he watches now.
You can hear a response that sounds like something waking.
That's asking for trouble, friend.
If we have a torch, light it and throw it in the direction of that snort, and then grab the sword, preparing myself.
Yeah, you can do so. The cave stretches on well beyond where you can throw. It looks like it goes on for some time.
Oh. What kind of lair is this? What evil does it hold?
Although when you've thrown the torch as far as you could throw it, you can see that like on either side of where it lands, there are like tombs, like upright, sort of like stone coffins. On either side of where the torch is, and they're like inlaid with gold as well, some sort of writing.
Gunnar will look over to Agnar, say, "You're not much in the shape for fighting right now, but can you at least carry a torch?"
Of course, of course. He like takes some flint and tinder from his like pack and lights.
Gunnar then looks over to everyone else. Well, let's go see what monster is in this cave that our thrall was just yelling about. Or yelling to.
So you can walk down into this cave, walk past the two tombs, the coffins. You can see that the runes are old, really old, like language. It's like archaic, kind of like Shakespearean English to our English. But it roughly translates to thrall. It says on each one.
Perhaps this is a tomb, and these thralls were like entombed here, as befits like a great king or some worthy warrior. I think I couldn't help but trace my fingers along it, knowing that's my own fate for now.
Thorfinn would look at Cole and say, you know, you handled yourself well back there with that sword. Perhaps there's a shield wall in your future instead of a thrall's grave.
Maybe there's a grave for each one of us already dug, he'll say, and take his fingers from the rune and try and suppress his fear. Maybe boldened a little by Thorfinn, sorry.
And Gunnar will look over as well and say, "Well, you've already got your sword. That makes you richer than most for a thrall."
It's not my sword. I think it belongs here in this tomb with everything else that's been uncovered.
You walk along the corridors with the torch held high and continue. And every couple of, no, every 20 or so feet as you like move, you can begin to notice that you're going down in a spiral. Every, 20 or so feet, you'll see two more thrall tombs identical to the previous ones that you had seen. And you continue downwards for about 20 minutes until you can hear this like soft snoring. Soft as in like not disturbed, but it's loud. You can see that up ahead that there's like this glint of gold, this like really almost like as if the reflection of like water in the sun, except that it's bright gold up ahead. The tunnel begins to open up into a room.
Thorfinn will hasten his step. He's goaded on by that bright shimmer of gold. Perhaps too eager.
You can walk into this room. It's perfect, sort of square, 100-foot. The ceiling way above you, and you can see more gold than you've ever seen in your entire life. More gold than you thought existed in Iskloft. Armbands, so many golden arm rings, but also just coins and jewelry and all manner of gold, like piled up in this huge pile at the center of the room. And on top of it is a creature. It's about 50 feet long, scaled, golden in its appearance. It is coiled up in like a circle on top of this pile of gold, and it's just like gently sort of snoring. And all around on the walls, there are like these beautiful golden sort of carvings all around. As I say, more gold than you thought existed in Iskloft. You'd think that if you had all of this gold, you could become king in a heartbeat. If you took a fraction of it, if you took a handful, you would be able to buy a fleet of longships and equip all of the men on those longships and buy a jarldom. And there's 100 times that much gold here. And this thing just snores gently.
I'll try and give the most like perceptible to try and get everyone to look back once this revelation dawns on us. I like try and like suppress my heaving as I'm bearing like a bit of Helmar's weight as well as I like kind of get to this fearsome huddle. Say, this is dragon's gold, worm shimmer. A sickness lays on this. The fate of any who take it sleeps before you, and I'll point. This is doom gold. We should leave and bury this place and leave it to the past. No good can come from taking anything here.
Listen, young one. I've lived too long as it is. My day comes. Can you imagine the tales that would be told of me, of all of us, if we were to kill a dragon and take its gold? Think of the honor, the place in Valhalla.
Gunnar, for all of his usual bravado and swagger and ego, even he is unnerved by Thorstvin's words. And he just kind of like uneasily shakes his head. He doesn't even want to speak in case this thing might awake.
Yeah, Hjalmar is he's being supported, but he is kind of still trying to back himself up and away from this thing. All the gold in the world doesn't really seem to matter to him all that much in the first place. So this just seems completely unwise, and he's not saying anything either, just kind of pushing himself backwards.
Agnar is like visibly shaking, and he's pissed himself as he's like standing looking. He hasn't like joined your huddle. He's just like standing paralyzed, looking. And Thrall is like at the entrance to this room, and he's got his sword on his shoulder, and he's got his head kind of turned to the side like a dog trying to like listen to a command, like unsure of what he's really saying.
I can't believe what I'm hearing. We have the perfect opportunity to grab a place next to the Allfather in Valhalla, and you wish to run.
No, we need to kill the worm. They are evil things, greedy. But we cannot take the gold. We too will be doomed.
It takes a second because Thorfinn is trying to digest the idea that he does want to fight the dragon, but he sort of destroyed his argument by also saying that they should just not take the gold. But he eventually settles in and says, what do I care about the gold anyway? It doesn't matter. This will be enough. This would be worth it.
Seeing that his fear is being slowly outnumbered by talk of glory and talk of doing right, Gunnar will just let out a silent gulp and a sigh, and kind of uncomfortably put his hand on the hilt of his sword. He looks over to Thorfinn and says, "So be it." If we die, we will die in a place of great honor.
You can see like the ear twitch and the nostrils flare for a second as it like lets out a breath, and the breath is like you know when it's so hot and you can see the sort of shimmer.
Heat mirage.
Yes.
I'm gonna like slip away. I don't even know if the shadows are safe, but I feel exposed near like the quivering, piss-stained Agnar. So I'm gonna try and like slip away into the shadows when I see that heat wave visible in the shining room. For a useless 13.
You get away from Agnar anyway, and you can like walk as quietly as possible across the glittering coins and arm rings.
Thorsfinn tries to slowly, this time, pull his sword out of his sheath while looking at Gunnar, and says, "Well, Gunlander, you've got all the plans. I can swing this thing. Just tell me where to put it."
As the sword comes out of its sheath, the dragon's ear twitches again.
It kind of stops and then like starts to try to pull it out again, like basically reacting to every sound.
I've planned wars against countless men. I fear my plans against this thing will not serve us well. This was your idea. I think you lead the charge on this one.
The scent of blood. The scent of beating hearts. It has been an age since I smelled such things.
No time for plans now anyway, it seems, Gunnar.
Its eyes are still closed.
So what, based on his body, like what exactly is closest to me? What's farthest away?
That's a good question. You would have come in, so probably like his left arm and his head. He's like leaning his head on his left arm.
Okay.
Gunnar
got it.
will like point towards this thing's like neck, like up near the base of its head.
And
In my age, it was rude not to respond.
Thorsfinn would look over at his companions and then just look back, say, "You are a disgrace to the Allfather, and you will be dispatched this day."
You are men. What threat do you pose? Not even great men. All men lust for gold.
An eye opens.
But there are too many of you. If you all left with gold and tails, perhaps some would believe that I was here. I cannot let you all leave.
Let me leave, and I shall take no gold, and I shall tell no tales. I have no quarrel with you, and to be frank, I have no interest in honoring the All-Father with your death.
And these companions, you would abandon them to their death.
He just looks at them for a moment.
Whether they live or die is up to them. But their fight is not mine.
If you all leave with gold, you will tell people, and they will believe you. But if one of you leaves with gold and tales of a dragon, you will be a madman. So you can leave, but your friends will die.
And who was holding him? I think it was
It's Call, I think, was holding him.
Cole.
Yeah.
Cole.
Yep.
You're
And
lagging at the back. And I tried to slink away from you, so I'm probably just about 10, 15 feet from you.
Yeah, so he just turns and says, "I'm sorry, you were honorable men all, but I have no wish to die in this cave." And he turns and just starts to like try to hobble his way out at 5 foot speed.
Fenner just mutters, "Leave it to a beast to run with its tail between its legs."
The dragon moves with like incredible speed, and like its huge front claw like in front of the door, and its like face the size of a horse like comes up next to you, Hjalmar, and you can feel like the heat of its breath and the stink of sulfur.
I will have your oath that if you leave here, you'll say nothing.
Your gold and your location are yours to divulge. I will say nothing.
An oath is sworn in blood.
And Hjalmar looks down at the stone knife. He keeps at his hip, pulls it out, slices it across his hand, and kind of like just reaches out towards the thing.
It like takes its huge hand and like with amazing dexterity like picks the knife between two of its fingers and like cuts across your hand, and then like drives the knife like deep into its own hand, and like drops the knife, and like a drop of its blood falls onto your hand.
The oath has been sworn. You cannot break it.
I have no wish to.
Then leave, coward.
And it removes its hand.
You'd be a coward too in my position.
Just heads out.
As he like walks, the hand comes back down.
And what of the rest of you?
This changes nothing for me. I will fight you till you kill me. One of us will not leave this cave.
You will not fight for long.
At least I'm not a coward. And I spit.
Perhaps
Mighty
they'll be
worm.
comforting.
Go ahead.
I would just be groveling and say, "Mighty worm, my friend here, Agnar, took from your hoard, did not know to whom it belonged. I'd come urging him up the mountain with the intent to return what is rightfully yours and beg forgiveness. I offer my life for Agnar, that you let him leave. He did not know what he had done. He's an earnest man. And I'm sure that he would swear an oath as such as you have let the dog who left. For he has kin who are more important to him than gold."
You stole from me, Agnar, and you let him.
He says, looking at the rest of you.
We traversed far and ascended your domain, and he'll like give Agnar that nudge, like stop pissing yourself and put the ring back. These are not the actions of a thief with respect.
He steps forward and he's like shaking and he's like got the arm ring in his hand. He like holds it out in front of him. He says,
I cannot abide thieves. The gold is mine, and mine alone.
and he's going to bite Agnar and eat him, hopefully.
See you, mate.
Yep.
He lives a good life.
Bites Agnar's arm and like tears it from his body. And there's just like this like arterial of blood, and he like falls to his knees and dies in seconds.
Cole's just going to grab the mortuary sword with both hands, gripping it tight while he shivers, thinking his own death comes now, and he wants to go to Valhalla.
I have slept for an age. Who is king? Is it still the line of Gunnar?
I'll be looking underneath my leg. I'll be staring at the floor, fearful and shaking, but I'd kind of chance an eyebrow, like or like a quick glance to steal at Gunnar. I'm not sure who is king.
Yeah, so Gunnar's descendants stopped being the kings like centuries ago, and like have been in Gunland since. The king is like unimportant. It's not something that this dragon will recognize. It's like his name is Sigurd Sigurdsson, and he's a king in name only.
There is no high king in Iskloft since the days of the stewardship of Beobrand, mighty worm, petty kings now, but no true high king, though there is still hope in the Gunlands and beyond.
No king. No crown. The crown is gone.
Lost centuries ago.
Then I offer you a bargain. Serve me, swear an oath, and you can live and be rich.
Cole stands up and takes his sword in a similar fashion to the Ulf who swore an oath in blood before. And plants it in the ground. He'll take up the paring knife given him by Agnar, and he'll reach into his throat and cut out his own tongue, trying to suppress a gurgling scream as he does and throw it down at the worm's feet.
Holy fuck, inspiration.
In contempt, of course. And blood-mort, he'll stare at his companions.
Your companion's foolish and short-sighted.
Like reaches out with a claw to grab at Cole.
Yeah, I'll grab the sword that I planted in the ground, like it's like pointed into the ground, but he's holding tightly on the haft as it points up to him, trying to stop himself from shaking as the claw extends.
So it's a 29 to hit.
That misses anything that's not vital.
So he like grabs you in the claw and like lifts you up in front of his enormous head.
You cannot swear an oath, and so you are not useful to me.
And it opens its maw.
Damn it, beast, drop him. Could it be possible for Thorsfinn to make an attack?
Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah, so he would He would do so. Yeah, he would use his bonus to go into his Odinic Rage, and seeing his companion toss about, he would charge. And that's going to be 2 nice rolls. So it's an 18 and 19 on the dice. So it's going to be a 26 and a 25.
2 hits.
Now we do not have that bonus. I believe too much time has passed. So it's going to be 12 damage with the rage and 14. 12 and 14 are the 2 damages.
Okay.
Nothing.
It looks from where these slash upwards at the arm, like, and you manage to like pierce through some of the scales. One of the scales like falls into the gold, and it looks at you, and you piss dice out of your pocket and roll initiative.
That's a good one.
I have advantage on initiative rolls, and I rolled 14s on both of them, so that's a 15. Sorry, I'll put that in the chat.
Okay, so, oh boy, it's gonna get real gross real quick. So, as you like strike at this majestic creature, it lets out a roar. It's like rumbling, and the cave begins to shake. And I'm going to need each of you to make a dexterity saving throw, please.
Since I'm grabbed and lifted off the ground, can I be exempt?
Yeah, you won't be affected by this because you're not on the ground. Okay, and Thrall fails. So Thorfinn and Thrall both like the ground begins to shake all over the place, and you like fall prone as like an earthquake basically happens at the will of this creature. It then takes a deep breath in and a deep breath out. I'm going to need each of you to make, oh God, a dexterity saving throw, please. You, I think, are just going to get hit, Call. I don't know how you could dodge.
No. No.
Oh, boys, fucking hell. So, I'm not going to roll. It's going to be, fucking hell. Dragons are dumb. Fucking hell. It's going to be 63 fire damage.
That just bloodies me in 1 hit, so I'll take system shock if we're using system shock.
Yeah, roll a d10, please.
10.
Okay,
Not
I think
too
that's
bad.
just reactions, I think.
Yep.
The rest of you still up, yeah?
That actually downs me in a single hit. I have 59 max HP.
Fuck.
How much damage was it?
63.
Okay, yeah.
You're level 8.
D8 hit die. It's
Fuck, man. Kill it.
7 HP per level. Like that only
Fuck,
gets
yeah.
me so far.
So the cave is just like filled with fire. And Gunnar, you just like begin to choke and burn and fall to your knees. Your gear singed, your clothes burnt to a crisp. As it takes its breath out. So I think that's its turn. Gunnar, make a death saving throw.
17. All right.
Okay, it's good. Thorfinn.
Sorry, I was just typing something in. I actually need to check because I'm not familiar with this action. Where is it? Sorry, the Helm of Awe. I have advantage on dexterity saving throws against effects you can see, such as traps and spells.
Yeah, you would have advantage in this case. Yep.
Oh, I would. Okay. All right. So instead of a 3, I would get a 17.
17 is exactly the number. So you'll take half then, which is 31 instead.
31. Okay. So I feel like I would just kind of I have this kind of heavy gear on and like furs on top of that, and I kind of shield myself as much as I can, but my cloak would basically be singed and just disgusting and smelling terrible. Yeah. And I would probably just shirk off as much of that as I could while it was smoldering, and so I got one party member down, one party member still in the hand of the dragon.
Yep.
On fire and tongueless.
Right, on fire and tongueless. Wow. So yes, this is a terrible situation. So Thorfinn would basically look around. Everything is burning. It's like a hellscape. He's not a smart man. I don't think he would have any clever insight here. He would basically just try to use his knowledge of anatomy of humans to try to place his swords at the best possible place that he can.
Okay.
And yeah, he's going to make 2 attacks. So the first one is going to be 26. These have advantage unless he's doing anything to stop that advantage because I'm still in the Odinic Rage.
Okay.
Okay, so that's 26 and 14. There's a 21.
Yep, so 2 hits.
2 hits. So that's 16 damage on the first one and 18 damage on the second one. And he's just screaming, for companions, for the Jarl, for Odin, as he swipes twice as mightily as he can.
Nice. So that's Thorfinn. Thra looks around at the situation. He is badly burnt and does the smart thing. He reaches down and shoves a load of golden arm rings into a sack that he's carrying and then runs. And then it's Cole's turn.
I wish I could fight the Jotun, but I can't. I'm grabbed by the dragon near its fiery maw. So my last action probably in this middle world will be to try and strike out with the corpse sword at the only thing within reach of me that isn't covered in golden scales. That's the dragon's eyes. So I'm going to attack twice, an action surge to attack twice again.
All right.
Here we go. Miss. 19.
Yep.
Miss. 18.
Okay, 18 actually misses. 19 is what you need.
Okay. It needs to not even make a wisdom save. I'm just going to give it an extra damage dice for the hell of it, because I assume it can't be frightened of me. 14, 15, plus 5, plus 6, 7, 22. Slashing damage. Oh, I get to reroll. 24 slashing damage, all up at the dragon's face.
Nice.
What can I do? I will. Oh, there's no point second winding. I'll just faint for my bonus action. That's it for me.
Gives disadvantage, is it?
No, it gives me advantage on my next attack against it.
Okay,
if
right.
I live that long. I probably should have done it at the start of the turn, but I wasn't thinking straight because I was on fire.
Yeah. That's fair. Okay, the lair again. Jesus, I'm so not used to lair actions. Okay, so the dragon like takes its huge tail and just like smashes it into the ground, and there's like this gas that begins to like pour into the room. This like thick, sort of like sulfurous gas. I'll need each of you to make a Constitution saving throw. No, it's on the start of your turn. Never mind. So there's like this thick, sort of like smoggy sort of gas that appears into the room, and then is going to try and recharge his breath, which thankfully he does not. Instead, he will make a round of comically powerful attacks. So first he uses Frightful Presence. I need each of you to make a Wisdom saving throw.
17.
Okay. 8. Okay. So you are afraid, Thorsfinn. You can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of your turns. You're frightened, basically, so you have disadvantage on attacks. So it does that, and then it makes 3 attacks, bite and 2 claws. All right, so it's going to obviously bite you in its hand, Cole, with a hit. And that is going to be 26 damage.
Yeah, it rips me in half, like the bottom half held in his claws, the top half just consumed by flashing golden teeth. There's like a mist of blood, but it and like nearly instantly sizzles and evaporates from the heat, from the sheer heat that's about, and so ends Cole.
Yeah, it like does that thing that birds do, where it rips the top half you off and throws you up in the air, and then like swallows you down the gullet. Then it's going to make 2 claw attacks against Thorsfinn. So the first is going to be a 22 and a 17. Does that hit you, Thorsten? Probably not.
The first one did, the second one didn't.
Okay. So that is going to be 15 slashing damage from the claw. Okay, so you see Cole get torn in half and eaten. It like throws, carelessly discards the other half of him, and its eyes lock on you. But it is now Gunnar's turn to make a death save.
That is a 15, so I'm 2 up.
Maybe you're getting there, Thorsfinn. At the end of Gunnar's turn, it's going to take a legendary action to make a tail attack against you, Thorsfinn. It's going to try and hit you, and it easily does. You're going to take 17 bludgeoning damage as it like whips his tail around. This is like long sort of spike at the end, just like smashes into you.
Yeah, and he just gets like blasted upside the head from that tail and stumbles to the side. He's frightened. The smart thing to do would be to run. That would probably be Thorsfinn's worst nightmare. So I'm going to roll and see what he decides to do. So he glances at the door. He glances back at the dragon. He glances at the door. He glances back at the worm. He's wasted time. He can only swing once, but he fights the urge to run, raises his sword, and makes an attack.
Nice.
He's actually... Oh, no, I already have advantage. I can't... Yeah, okay. So that's going to be 15, so that's 22.
It hits.
And that's going to be 16 damage. And he's just going to, at this point, be the blood from Cole's kind of like spraying down on him. And he just fights the urge to run and slashes into him and says, "Then send me to the Allfather monster."
That is not where you will go when I kill you.
Thra is running down the mountainside. Cole, you are dead. The lair goes next. It's the other thing, which means that lava begins to like boil up from the under the ground. I'm gonna need you Thor's to make a dexterity saving throw.
Would this be another thing I can see?
I think I don't think in this case. No, I'd say no.
No. Okay. It's going to be dex save. That's a 15. And I rolled the wisdom save at the end of my turn for the frightened, but it's
okay.
I rolled a 5, so I imagine I'm still frightened.
Did you say 17?
It was a 15 on the dex and a 5 on the wisdom. So
15 is good. You take half, which is going to be 10 fire damage. And then is going to try and recharge his fire breath. And still doesn't do it. God damn. Okay, he's just going to unleash a round of misery upon you. Okay, yeah. So that's going to be, first for the bite, it's going to be 26 damage as he like, and then 2 claws come and slash at you, doing 30 damage total. So 56 for the whole round of attacks.
So when the bite comes, I manage to kind of like, I imagine I kind of pull away and it like almost rips off my arm. And when the claw comes, it's just Thor's fin is there 1 second, and the next second he's obliterated.
Yep. So you fall apart, torn apart by this dragon. It like swallows your arm, and then just like sniffs around the room. It like looks out the door, but thinks, "What's the point?" So Thra is still running. So Gunnar.
I rolled a goddamn nat 20 on my death
The
save.
gods. You gonna just flee?
So, actually, Gunnar will stand up, having not ever had the opportunity to interact with this thing. I'll stand up, completely burned and scarred, and he'll, holding the sword on the ground, take a knee before this thing and say, "I will swear the oath that the others did not. The great Dragon King needs a warlord after all. My skills will be valuable."
Dragon sickness! Quickly! Kill him!
You two seem capable, I suppose. But you are of Gunnar's ilk. How do I know that you will remain loyal to me?
He looks down at the mangled bodies of his friends, or ex-friends, because I've seen what you did to them, and I would not suffer the same fate.
I will make you rich. Richer than any man has ever been, except for me. Good. Then swear.
And he like bites into his hand, and there's like this steaming hot blood that begins to like onto the ground.
Cut your hand.
Yeah, taking his sword in his right hand, he'll just put it onto his left hand and just take a big slice across it.
So he lets the blood of his hand like drip into yours, and you can feel like this scar, and like immediately it like scars into this like shape, like this sort of like winged shape on your hand.
You will be my general, and I will be your king.
And he like picks up like very delicately like this golden arm ring, and like throws it at your feet.
The first of many gifts.
He picks up the armband and slides it onto his arm, examining the winged mark on his hand. He looks back up to this enormous beast. It says, "Your conquest will begin."
That's where we'll leave it, guys. Unreal.
Fucking awesome.
So that's a dragon. That's the dragon. Fucking dragons
There were
are.
two snakes in that cave.
Jesus.
That was
Fuck,
just
dude.
a slew of
That was
fear and
terrifying.
betrayal.
Hey,
I wanted to
everyone thinks
see-
they have their honor until a dragon kills
Yep.
them in one hit with fire breath.
For sure. I wanted to see like how like these heroes who are all about honor react when like they're offered infinite gold or death, you know?
The majority fled or knelt.
Yeah, there was a point
Yeah.
where I was like, maybe I shouldn't have made him so obsessed with Valhalla, because running would be a great idea right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really like. I've never betrayed a party I've played with before. This is the first time it felt really right to do so.
It's a
Especially
no-brainer, man. Like to me, like I don't
No.
see even if you're obsessed with your honor, like why are you gonna like pointlessly die fighting this dragon when he offers you a
Well,
way
and
out?
Yeah, no, totally. And I was completely
Yeah.
hobbled, so I was like, "There's no chance I'm going to survive this encounter." Like, I've
So-
got like, and I really played into the whole like the Ulf don't have gods in the same way. So I was just like, "Yeah, fuck the Allfather. I don't care."
So
For
funny
sure.
story. I was actually going to swear that oath before the fight, but
Right.
you breathed fire on me before I could. I was like literally like about to speak, and then it's like you all take 63 damage, and it's like, well, there goes that. But the dice gods answered my prayers where the Allfather would not, and now I have a dragon lord.
And you're an oath breaker.
Yep.
You're still sworn to Skeg.
Skeg will kneel as well before the Dragon King.
Oh,
All
of course he
will.
will.
Yeah, that was fucking really fun. Dragons are horrifying. Like that was well beyond your challenge rating, but you actually almost you bullied it basically, which I'm amazed by considering most of you weren't fighting.
I think on paper we could have taken it down,
Yep.
but with the way that all of our characters are and our personalities and the way we were playing them, like certain things couldn't be taken advantage of, you know, like sneaking up and killing it in its sleep and stuff like that. It wasn't the party to do that.
No, not at all. And Thrall just left, and he was pretty.
Yeah, our tank.
Yeah. It didn't help too that I literally died before I took an action.
Yeah.
To betray us. It would have been even harder with you on the dragon side, commanding him, and like whenever we crit him, getting more points to use
Giving the
against us.
dragon called shots.
Oh,
Hey,
crikey.
because you need another plus 12 damage, right, on the dragon?
Yeah.
Yeah, when Cole slipped off, I thought maybe if Thorsfinn just is so fatalistic that he just takes all the attention, maybe Cole will be able to do something. But then with the whole eating of the man, I was like, okay, this isn't happening. We're dying here. Well, and then most of you survive.
I think it's the first dragon that I've run in a game. I think.
I think that's the first dragon I've encountered in a game.
That is my
And that was
first
by far
dragon
the scariest
encounter.
encounter I've ever.
Terrifying, yeah.
That's definitely the first dragon I've fought.
Like literally the second the image came up, like my legs immediately started shaking. I was like, oh god damn it. Like
I think it was good how the dragon consumed Agnar quite quickly, and like that ramped it up to 11 as far as fear goes, because it was
Yeah.
not like restricted to mechanics. Is truly like an otherworldly thing beyond our comprehension. So it made it more terrifying that it wasn't like initiating combat just to take out Agnar. Like that set the bar. Like, right, this could be the last wager of your life.
Yeah.
It was very implicit
I thought for sure you were going to take the oath.
that I was.
Yeah, I really thought so. I was like, never.
Nico doesn't kneel.
So I guess my question to Gunnar is: would you then murder Hjalmar or invite him in, because he would definitely be happy to serve a dragon? if it means living.
I mean, the dragon did seem kind of set on not having too many people in on the deal. And given that he had just sworn an oath and was literally burned to a crisp and hanging by a thread to his life, he probably would have deferred to the dragon's judgment on that one.
So the rationale the dragon had was that like if one person comes down with gold and it's like there's a dragon up there, everyone's gonna be like, nah, that's bullshit. But if 4 people come down with gold and they all swear that there's a dragon up there, then there's a dragon up there, and then an army comes, you know.
Yeah, in my heart of hearts, I was hoping that Thra, what you were going to say in the next scene, he rushes out the front and throws the gold down the vista, like into Iskloft, like so everyone will know there's gold from the mountain and it'll bring armies. But no, he was just cheeky Jotun.
Yep.
Stole the gold and ran.
He's not going back to Skeg either. He's just legging it.
Gosh,
I was half expecting the Jotun to swear the oath, actually. Like, that was part of me.
Yeah.
Like, do we really have to fight a dragon and a giant? Like, really?
You guys are level 8, right?
Like he alone would have been a challenge for you guys. Never mind the dragon.
Yeah.
I also love that he didn't speak once. It's my fave.
Just
Yeah, that was awesome.
So this dragon was a man once, and he like was greedy and like taxes people into nothingness and like was really cruel and such. He's like and then basically like built this place for his gold. And when he like left, there was a vacuum and all the other Jarls took over his land or whatever. But he had the thralls build the place and then seal it so that he could live in his gold.
The dragon sickness. Now you have it too, Gunnar.
You have the dragon sickness for sure.
If someone ever kills that dragon, you'll carry the taint, and that gold will corrupt other people.
Yep.
Hope it's worth the last 20 years of your life.
Worm shimmer is like my favorite word. I love that. I never heard that before.
That was so awesome.
Yeah, that was
just
great.
rolled out.
So I have in my head that this guy was like, this is in Valleyland, and that this was once a Valley son, one of the many sons of Valley.
That's why he's asking about the crown, if it's been found yet. Oh gosh.
And I have it in my mind that like he knew that like if the crown was around, he couldn't become, king or whatever. Now that it's gone, he's like, oh, I see my chance.
Yeah, maybe we should have told him that like there was some great king.
Yeah.
Something like that.
He would have known we were liars. They're very wise.
Yeah, that's true.
He'd have
I'm
sniffed
not
you
very
out.
good. I can't tell a lie. Can't deceive.
Oh, that was really cool though.
Yeah, man, that was really fun. I hope you guys had a good time. I hope it wasn't too miserable and that like it didn't feel
It wasn't
like,
miserable enough.
didn't feel like heavy-handed, just like putting a dragon on you when you're level 8. But
Yeah, sorry about the beginning too. My computer just started crapping out every time I logged in.
that's all good.
Yeah. I mean, it did feel heavy-handed, but that's kind of like the point of it. Like, you don't just you don't delicately put a dragon into the game.
Yeah.
Oh, look at adult wormling to meet our CR in this grand mausoleum of gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was an adult red dragon. Challenge rating is 17 on that one. It's not even not even an ancient one.
Jesus.
Yeah, I just did that. A party of 5 people. We had 4. I had a party of 5 people against an adult red dragon just recently.
We would have been screwed even more
Level
without
8.
Jeff's abilities.
Yeah,
Take away our exhaustion and stuff.
Yeah, I gotta say this is like immediately my new favorite class ever. Like,
The best. I play it all the time. Any opportunity I'm given.
I am in love with this class. It has so many cool things that are like so like simultaneously super flavorful and also mechanically interesting and fun to use. Like, it's got the whole trifecta.
It's like
Dude,
a proper martial bard.
Yeah.
I've never.
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say I've never gotten to look at any of this Iskloft stuff before, and it's just I fucking love all of this. This is fantastic.
It's mostly theft. Like a lot of it is just taken from other places and like reworded, or like I've changed mechanics here or there. I've made a lot of the archetypes, but like the war leader class is the martial class from Amethyst Quintessence. And then I've like made some archetypes myself, and like I've reworded it to fit the setting and stuff. But the martial is just my favorite class of all time. It's just the best. Yeah.
Yeah,
This was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed that. I hope you
Good.
guys aren't too peeved about me betraying you so horrendously so early.
Someone had to do it.
It would be a fool for me to criticize.
Seeing as you betrayed all of mankind in the middle realm.
You're not the first Ulf to put his tail between his
Yeah.
legs and run away from a situation like this. Locrius did the same when he was playing an Ulf in our last game. Not our last game, but a game is similar kind of themes to this one.
I think like the fact that they don't have the
my
gods.
elf that I played last time we played ran away too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
from
true.
that raid.
That's right.
I think it's the fact that they don't worship the gods gives them like
Yeah,
I think
license.
an ability to weasel out of things that like other people don't have because they're bound by honor and duty and stuff.
Yeah, I was going with the animalistic nature of it, just being like, I would rather live to fight another day and maybe reclaim whatever honor I may have lost from this.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Thorfinn just being like feeling like he'd die in a shield wall soon anyway, and if he did this much dishonor to himself at this point in his life, it would just be a damn shame.
With Cole, I thought he'd been a thrall long enough and like felt so close to being a free man again, and thought that like he couldn't possibly live with himself if he like sullied what little honor he did have as a thrall. He'd just be like worse than worthless. And I think that helped inform why he chose death. Well, not chose death. The dragon chose to kill him, but you know what I mean.
Oh, the tongue was wicked, man.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
So fucking ridiculous. So great.
So easy to
Gunnar
do
was
when it's
just like
a character. Sorry, Jim.
Yeah, I was just saying, Gunnar is just such a huge, like, egotistical bastard. Like that, like, there's no like. His goal all along was like, oh, I just go from Jarl to Jarl, lending out my services for money. Like, where am I really loyal to, anyways? Oh, maybe to this thing that can breathe frickin' fire and kill people in one hit.
The Curse of Gunland.
Yeah,
that'll make me more money than I've earned in my very successful career, like in an instant.
It's like real satisfying to me to like, because I've made all these like cultures
Watch
or whatever.
history repeat itself.
Yeah, to watch like the Iron Eye was like honorable as fuck, and like the Gunlander was greedy as fuck. You know, it was great because that's like where that all came from.
Is that the right way? Like, is that the way?
Yeah.
I was pretty sure because
So like
it
we
was
put
worded
Nick on,
as they weren't sure.
Yeah. Nick ran this like long running Viking game, and in it like Chex played Brynjolf Agnarsson, and he's like the guy who became the Iron Eye Jarl and Idol, you know. And I played Gunnar Gunnarsson, who like became the Gunlander and who became the first king of Iskloft and stuff like that. And like they were mirrored here for sure. Like Brynjolf was like stoic and like honorable to a fault, and Gunnar was like greedy and all about his legend, kind of.
By the way, I meant to say this. That hook was so well done because you gave all of us a reason based on our like racial backstory to be interested, and that was just like that was so much fun to watch because it was like, yeah, there's gold, like the whole glory thing and honor, and then just having the guy kind of diss me a little bit, where like that was exactly the thing I needed to like like give me that little like, oh well, fuck this guy, I'll kill anything.
Yep, poor Ragnar.
I've tried to save him. I feel so bad for him. I wanted him to come because I thought, I bet you this is an alpha who's like flipped over into this world because of a crazy like moon, like a time of the year or something like that, and they've had gold, and this guy's accidentally stole the gold, and it's going to require blood to like sate them. And I was thinking we're just going to have to give Agnar over to save the village, and so that's why I was like driving towards making him come with us, because I was like assuming all of this stuff. And now I feel really responsible that he died because all he did was just be like a normal nice peasant, which is better than most people.
He was just like a decent
that was
dude.
like, that was part of what made the session so effective for me. Is like, again, like I was going in like, okay, this is like either going to be more like Draugr, more dead dudes, or like Alfir. Like there was not a single point in any of that session until the actual reveal that I could like that I ever imagined a dragon. Like it was such a shock.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that threw me for a loop too, because I faltered for a second. I was like, he's supposed to be, oh, but come on, that's a really big dragon. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, and it's not normal in Iskloft at all to see like a monster, never mind a dragon, you know, like most of the enemies you fight are like grim-faced men with nasal helms, you know, so like, yeah, unexpected for sure.
I thought it was going to be a Jotun. I thought it was going to be like a Jotun or a Jotunate that Thrall was going to like bookend us in with. When I heard that noise, I was like, oh no. But yeah, it was even worse than 2 Jotun. And better.
I'm going to end this broadcast because we've been waffling for a while. Thanks for watching if you did.